Hi, my name is Melissa Gallo, author and creator of Painted Textures, and today I'm going to show you how to apply an impasto texture to a photo using Tuscan Villa from the Italian collection. It's very important to remember that while most textures are usually applied in a subtle way, these impasto textures require a more dramatic approach. As some of you may know, I was a painter and illustrator for many years before I became a photographer. And the Painted Textures series was born out of a desire to add a more painterly surface to my photos. Tuscan Villa was one of the first of the painted textures that I created and is still one of my favorites. So today we're going to start with this photo, which is a photo I took for a Christmas card. And I've prepared it for texturing by sharpening it and punching it up a bit with a levels adjustment layer. And we are going to turn it into this. I've applied the Tuscan Villa texture over the photo, and it's created a very nice impasto or fresco effect and gives it a very old world feel. Now I'm going to show you how this is done. The first thing I'm going to apply over my photo is a basic texture that I've created called fresco. Now I've made 7 basic textures for the Italian collection and 5 for the graphic arts collection. I find that these basic textures produce a very nice underpainting effect, if you will, when applied on top of the photo and under a more impasto painterly-like texture. So they prepare the photo for the more intense impasto brushwork. So we're going to grab our move tool and just drag and drop the texture right onto the photo, and you will see little bounding boxes. If you don't see that, press Command T and you will see these little tiny boxes come up that you can move around and resize your texture. It does not have to be perfect. There we go. And press Enter or Return to seal in the transformation. Now when this happens, you see that a new layer has been created over our background layer. How this layer reacts with the background layer will be determined by the blending mode, and that we find in this little drop-down menu from normal all the way down to luminosity. I'm going to choose the multiply mode, which darkens our photo but still allows it to show through. Now it's important to remember that when applying a texture, the texture will impart 2 basic qualities to a photo. 1, the texture itself, and 2, the color of the texture. So I want to retain the color of the texture on her skin, on her face and neck and arms, but I want to remove the texture itself. And this is done very simply by going back up to the normal blend mode for now, keeping it at 100%, going to our color picker and choosing a color that is representative of the texture by pressing on the texture itself like that. Press OK. Press B for brush to get up your brush menu and choose a nice soft brush from the drop-down menu. And now we're going to reduce the opacity again so we can see just where her face is, and we're going to go back to our multiply blend mode, which I like very much, and we just paint over the face, and it keeps the basic color of the texture on her but removes the texture from the skin. It doesn't have to be perfect, as we want to lend a painterly quality to our photo anyway. There we go. And go up to your layers palette, go down to merge visible, and now we're ready for the second texture. So we're going to minimize this, and we're going to bring in our Tuscan Villa texture. Okay, now as you can see, this texture is a very intense impasto texture, and I usually apply it with a very intense blending mode. The basic blending modes that we apply to textures usually are soft light and overlay. But with these impasto textures, I like to use hard light, sometimes pin light, sometimes multiply to bring out the brushwork. And I have also changed the orientation of this texture, and by going up to Image image rotation, and I gave it a vertical orientation because I'm going to be overlaying it on top of a portrait. Again, grab your Move tool and just drag and drop the texture over your photo, like so, and use your bounding boxes. These can be greatly enlarged, these textures, as I'm showing you right now. You can do so many things with them. There are a multitude of possibilities. But for now, we're going to keep it roughly the same size as the photo. And there we go, looks pretty good. Press the Enter or Return key to seal in your transformation. And here we have a new layer again. This time I'm going to apply the hard light blending mode, which I tend to prefer again for my impasto textures. And you can see that this creates a line or fresco effect right across her face, which we might not want. So I'm going to remove that again from the face and from the hands, but this time I'm going to keep some of the brushwork across her arms. So we go back up to normal blend mode and at 100% so that we can see where the texture is. We choose our color picker and choose a color that's representative of the texture that you would like to add to the face. Unfortunately, a dark olive green is over the face, which I would not choose, but I'm going to choose this pale, maybe this yellowish pink color here, and bring our opacity back down again. Change the blend mode to the blend mode you've chosen, which is hard light in this case. Press B for your brush tool. You can enlarge it using the right bracket key. You can decrease it by using the left bracket key. Again, we're using a nice soft brush and just paint away the texture off of her skin like this, and maybe get that little green spot there. And then I do start to remove it a little bit from her hands, but you know, I'm going to leave some of it because again, I'm trying to add a painted surface to this photo. And there we have it. Go up to your Layers menu and go down to Merge Visible, or you can flatten your file, and there is the finished product.